My name is Tyler Drozd, and as many of you already know, I'm the Chief Operations Officer with Foregen. And one thing I just wanted to quick touch on before we get into the newsletter is that it seems like the video that we released last month, so the first one with the newsletter that we did, was actually very well received by our audience. So I think combined with that, I definitely like to continue doing these and make it a regular thing. And I think that, the video also is it's more personal. I think people really kind of appreciate it, having it in different formats if they want to read it, or in this case where I kind of, talk to you a little bit about it and give some of my views and some of my opinions. But I think we can just kind of jump right into it. And one of the first big pieces of news that we have actually is that thanks to all of our current donors, of course, who've been with us, and then the new ones that have signed up recently, we were actually able to hire yet another researcher for our team. So they'll actually be collaborating with us, or they'll be starting with us at the beginning of June, and they'll be working with Dr. Palumbo and our other Italian scientists on animal trials. So I think that's a really big piece of news because, it really shows that, the impact that, having new people sign up and having new donors and supporters really has. We're able to add an additional researcher who's going to be able to help us on animal trials, which I think is really important. Having more people, having people bring their skills and their set of expertise to the table really can help with the research, of course. And the next thing I wanted to touch on is we also have an article that we're sharing on Commentarium this month from Ryan Jones. He's actually one of our staff and also an independent journalist. And this article is titled A Push Beyond Africa. And this kind of follows with the pieces that we've been putting together on these different circumcision campaigns in sub-Saharan Africa. But in this case, he's talking about how, at first they kind of were just going to limit it to that part of the continent, but in the years since that they developed these programs and these campaigns, the model is now also being spread throughout the developing world. And it's been sponsored by the US government, researchers, and other public health workers who are kind of trying to introduce this culture of routine neonatal circumcision in other societies, kind of like in the US, of course. And of course, it's just concerning because these campaigns are based on very flimsy evidence, studies that really don't hold much water, as of course our audience knows. And for anybody else who's maybe, for example, new to this channel or new to the issue in general, a lot of the justifications for these campaigns, whether it's various supposed health claims, really, like I said, just don't hold much water. They're not, they're very flimsy, and it's, I think, very concerning to see that these are being spread to other parts of the world. And it's an important thing that we have to put this information out there, because otherwise, people in the general public have to know about this. They have to know that this is kind of almost being done in their name, since part of this is also taxpayer money. And I think that, by getting this out there, hopefully we can put a spotlight on this and get more people aware of what's going on, since it is, like I said, it's a very concerning issue that they're spreading this to other cultures and societies where there's little to no precedent for it. And as we know, there's no benefit to doing this to infants, of course. And of course, Ryan, he's been publishing quite a few articles with us, and he's really put a lot of work into these, and it's really something, an important task that he's doing. But of course, Commentarium is not just limited to Foregen staff or our people who are writing articles, but it's also open to the public as well. So if you're interested in submitting an article, or if you have a story you want to share, or something that you're interested in kind of sharing with our audience, you can submit that, and then we can kind of potentially work with you and get that published on our platform. We want to make this kind of a community thing, of course, so that people can share things and get their thoughts out there that they think are important. So on our Commentarium page, you can find a link at the top. It should be in the upper nav bar, where you can find a form to submit your idea for an article or for a story or whatever you think that might be relevant for our audience. And moving to our last point here is, of course, the total donations for the month. We actually had about 31 new donors sign up, and actually over $600 in recurring donations. So this really is important, because these monthly donations, or the recurring ones, help us to kind of plan out our research. And like I mentioned in the first point, it enabled us to hire another researcher, an additional one, for the project. So all this, the people who sign up, you're having a direct impact on the research, and you're helping us push things forward here. So if there's anybody who that maybe is interested in this kind of issue or in this kind of project, or wants to support even just scientific research in general for such an important issue that affects tens of millions, hundreds of millions of men and people around the world, you can point them in to our donor rewards program here, where they can sign up for a recurring donation and really support the project in a very direct way. And so for overall in April, we've actually raised a total of $12,231 so far. That's actually, I am recording the video a little bit early, since I sent it off to our editor, and that's actually probably going to increase a little bit. You might even see maybe about $13,000 or so, maybe even a little bit more than that, for the month of April, and that brings us to a total of about $732,745 overall for Foregen's history. And this is just, I mean, it really shows me how incredible it is when you have this community of people who are so dedicated and really have the energy, to get behind something like this and make it happen. I mean, all this stuff that we've done up until now, like I always say, and I always want to give credit to our donors, because that's, and our supporters, that's really where, all this has come from. And I just, my genuine heartfelt thanks goes to you, and how this is going to be able to help so many people in the future one day. And I think that pretty much wraps up today's video for the newsletter, but I really hope that, you've enjoyed these videos, and we'll be continuing to make them in the future. And I will see you in the next month for the next newsletter video. All right, everybody, take care.